Lakeside Dental Clinic, Go Island, is brought to you by Lakeside Dental Clinic.
Today we're in Parksville at the Royal Canadian Legion branch number 49, awaiting 6 runners who are running 600 kilometers. They left Port Hardy on Saturday, heading down to Victoria. It's the Wounded Warrior Run BC, and these folks are all waiting to cheer them on. Yeah! And we've got nothing but the finest for their arrival any moment. Hi, guys. All of that and more right here on Go in the next 30 minutes.
Speaking up against bullying in Nanaimo, poetry in Cascadia, and a vintage episode of Clocked in Qualicum Beach.
And they have arrived, the runners in the 2015 Wounded Warrior Run BC. They left Port Hardy on Saturday and making their way down Vancouver Island, arriving in Victoria. And I'm sure there'll be a warm welcome there as well. It's Pink Shirt Day on February the 25th. That is next Wednesday. While we're here raising awareness about post-traumatic stress disorder, we're also raising awareness about bullying. What can you do to stop it and prevent it and erase some of the negativity that happens here in the real world and more so online? We're going to have a look at one of Rayanne's stories, Rayanne LaPlante, from last spring, about a young girl in Nanaimo who, instead of keeping all of the terrible things that were happening to her at school to herself, she spoke out. Elvina is adjusting very well to her new school, and there is no bullying. Chris Linford, a man you have seen on our channel before, the ambassador for a Wounded Warrior Run on a national scale. Have I got that correct? For those who don't know, who didn't see the story that our colleague in Victoria, Paul Beilstein, did with Chris, what is the Wounded Warrior Run?
Well, the Wounded Warriors Run is a local idea that was spawned last summer.
And when you say local, you mean on the island?
Yeah, down in Victoria. Two guys standing at the end of the run of the driveway talking. You know, we should do something to bring some awareness to the island about post-traumatic stress disorder and the impact on the family. So these two guys started to plan a run, and they hoped that maybe they might just raise $5,000. And what they ended up raising was over 30.
How did you know that there was a need for awareness?
Well, there's a general need for awareness in our country. And Vancouver Island is no different. I think everybody would agree that the stigma surrounding mental health issues in general in Canada and North America is at a fairly high level, although I've seen it over the past couple of decades improve greatly. So to raise awareness is really what's going to help to reduce stigma.
And I think the military personnel have a reputation. They're tough. They can handle it, thick-skinned. And if they can stand up and share and express, then that makes it safe for others to do so too.
Yeah, it's interesting. I drank that Kool-Aid in the first part of my military career, where when I was injured in 1994 after my deployment to Rwanda, I knew I was profoundly changed as a man, and nothing was the same for me. I didn't even recognize the guy in the mirror looking back at me in the morning. I hid it for 10 years. I became a really great actor and just hid those symptoms that I was feeling every day.
Which made them worse, probably.
Of course, made them worse, and really provided me with ample volumes of shame and fear. I feared everything, and I was angry at everybody about everything. And then over time, I finally figured out I had to get some help. So I reached out, and lo and behold, against all odds, the help was there through the military.
And you're being a part of that now, creating that help and creating that change. We hear applause going on inside the Legion. We said they wouldn't start without Chris, so we're safe as long as we have him, but it sounds like maybe that didn't work and things are getting underway. We're going to join Chris one more time and talk about how having that support person in your life, a couple, a spouse, is part of the process. All of that after a short break.
Still to come today, what is your pink shirt promise? Poetry, a different way to look at life, and Todd and Derek race against time in Qualicum Beach.
My personal pink shirt promise is to talk to my kids, they're young, 5 and 7 years old, about what it means to not only be bullied, but be a bully. And I'm going to make sure that my behavior and interactions with them reflect respect. And then they will learn those lessons and pass that on as well. Moving from Pink Shirt Day, which is coming up next Wednesday, to poetry. Poetry on Vancouver Island is alive and well. Here now is Derek Johnstone with 2 poets who you might recognize. The Cascadia Poetry Festival takes place in Nanaimo, April 30th through May the 3rd. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. This is Sue Hodges. She's the president of the Royal Canadian Legion branch number 49 here in Parksville. And you have raised how much money for the Wounded Warrior Run this year?
Just about $1,000 now.
And how did you do that, and who made that possible?
The Legion made that possible, the membership in the Legion. We did Super Bowl, we did baskets, and the ladies, they just did a collection.
That's the Ladies Auxiliary.
Ladies, but they also did meals for this to raise money.
Excellent. Okay, now why is this important? It's to raise awareness and funds. You're doing both.
Yeah.
For PTSD. Why is this issue so important?
Because there is so many around, and they don't know where to go. And with having the soldiers that have come back and know what they're going through, they have somebody else to go to that understand what they've been through, and they can make them feel comfortable in telling their issues. Mm-hmm. Like their issues can just be people around them. It could just be noise. It could be going back home and having a different surrounding at home as where they came from. So they need help.
Do you think that there is more awareness generally these days?
Well, there is in, say, the Legion itself, because we have veterans that are coming back. They're young, and our older members know how these people feel. So they do. There is. But the people outside, I'm using that term wrong, but the people that don't really know what's going on in the world, they don't understand when these people come home that they're coming back to a really different situation.
And it does affect those outside people because they interact with each other in the communities every day.
Yeah, and you got to remember when these young ones went to war, they came from like people like you and me, and they're going to a different country where the whole system is different. The hospital system is different. The schooling system is different. Where I don't know, like soldiers have to walk around and protect each other when they're in these other countries. And when they come back here, they're going to come home to their children and their wives, and they're going to go to McDonald's. And it's all different.
And you probably can't help but feel, why are we so privileged here? And the suffering that they've seen elsewhere, and it just seems out of balance.
It does. It does. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It really, you see some of these young guys, and I have seen them, they're walking around, they're talking to themselves. And you're looking at them, you're thinking, oh my God, they're crazy. They're not crazy, they don't know where to go to get help. But these other fellas, they're not just soldiers either, they're people that have never left the base even, but they know how these guys feel, and they're open to them. And I think that's really important.
Comes down to the end is that we're all human, and what we see and what we experience affects us, and yeah, it's not easy stuff.
It isn't easy. It isn't. We can't imagine what war's like.
No.
We live in this country and we're free to do anything we want. They go into another country that all those freedoms are taken away, and they have to protect each other, and then they have to protect people that maybe don't even want protection.
Right. It's not easy. Sue, thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're going to be back with more from the Wounded Warrior Run as it comes through Parksville after a short break. Cope. Couples overcoming PTSD every day, a very important part, as Chris, you know firsthand. You can't do it by yourself, and it's not just your challenge.
No, it takes a community to solve the problem of PTSD. This program that my wife and I have started in Victoria, Couples Overcoming PTSD Every Day, we learned the only way to do this is to gather a community. So the program involves 5 couples that are all struggling with PTSD, gathered in one place, working with 2 trauma psychologists for a 5-day retreat, and then 6 months with family coaching done by phone.
I guess it could be the end of a lot of marriages.
PTSD is the end of a lot of marriages. That, in fact, is the norm. I'm very lucky. I've had PTSD for 20 years and my marriage is still going at 28 years now. I gave my wife every reason to end it and walk out, but she's a tough gal from Scotland, and she just wouldn't let it go. So thank goodness for that, and we're back stronger than ever now. And we run this program, and we got 5 programs fully funded for the next year by Wounded Warriors Canada.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris.
You bet.
Thanks. We're going to throw things over now to Todd Jones and Derek Johnstone. They are loose on the streets of Qualicum Beach. It's a vintage edition of Clocked. That was almost a vintage episode of Clocked. It was a while back. My kids are still talking about that bacon chewing gum, and it was terrible. I had high hopes, but it was absolutely terrible. That brings us to the end of this edition of Go Island. If you'd like more information on PTSD and the Wounded Warriors Run, go online, woundedwarriors.ca. Thanks for watching Go. We'll see you next time.
Lakeside Dental Clinic Go Island is brought to you by Lakeside Dental Clinic, a division of the Vancouver Island Implant Center, delivering dental services, including dental implants and sedation dentistry, all under one roof. Clothing supplied by Catwalk Fashions. Kate's Hair and Aesthetics provided by Maffeo Salon.